So, in today's lecture, we'll be talking about different historical perspectives on mental illness. Like, what were the causes of mental illness, how different historians view that, and what were some treatment approaches that were used to treat mental illness. So, beginning with ancient civilizations, we had three types of civilizations that used to treat mental wellness. One was Egyptians, around 15 to 50 before Christ era. Basically, what they did was they thought that mental illness was due to supernatural forces. Either a ghost was possessing you or you had done something sorry. So that's why you are suffering from mental illness. And they believe that heart is where the soul is. So all the emotions, all the thoughts and behaviors that used to occur was due to heart. So if your heart is pure, you will be fine. But if you have done any sin, you will be receiving the divine punishment and get mentally ill. In contrast, Greeks, who came around 500 BC, they saw mental illness as a result of an imbalance of different bodily fluids. So we have Hippocrates, a historian, who believed that our body is made of four types of humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. If there is any imbalance between these four humors, it can lead to mental illness. That's why Greek focused a lot on treating these humors equally so that mental illness can be cured. In perspective, Roman, who historically dated back to 100 BCE, they believe that mental illness is caused by a combination of supernatural and natural causes, and they adopted a lot of Greek medical practices to imbalance the humoral theory. There were three people who actually contributed to the history of Asian civilization. First was Imhotep. He was an Egyptian who came around 2600 BC. He was an architect who believed that mental illness can be treated with the help of rituals and herbs. In contrast, Hippocrates believed that mental illness is due to humoral imbalance, so he focused more on the treatment of humors. And he also emphasized a lot on the importance of observation, documentation, and natural treatment such as herb use for mental illness. Then we had Galen, who expanded on the humoral behavior and focused more on treating bodily. So some of the key treatment approaches during this time were: first was it was supernatural intervention. As I said, they used to believe that if you have sinned, you will be suffering from a divine intervention. So what they used to do was they used to do a lot of rituals, prayers, and sacrifice to appease gods so that they can be cured. Then they also used to use different herbs, minerals to balance the bodily fluids and treat symptoms. Then one was the most used treatment was different physical treatments, bloodletting, purging, so that the bodily humor can be established again if the foreign substances are out. So in bloodletting, they used to let the blood out so that whatever the negative energy was in you could be over. So one of the most famous method that they used in Asian civilization was called trepanning. So in this, what they used to do was they used to dig a hole in your skull and to let the evil spirit out. As you can see, they used to believe that there's an intracranial pressure that is compressing your brain. So if you dig a small hole in it, the air will come out and you will be cured. Basically, there were four methods through which they used to treat this mental illness in trepanning. One was, as I told you, they used to dig holes. Then they also used to scrap the skin to remove a layer of skin so that the negative energy can be pushed out. Then they used to cut different cuts and make a hole on maybe fingernail or toe in various cases and various civilization. This was mostly used by Chinese, Egyptians, and Romans. And it was the most cruel form of treatment as a lot of people died as a result of tapping. So if we move forward, then after ancient civilization, we comes to the Middle Age and Renaissance perspective. So in ancient civilization, it was all about bodily fluid, supernatural. In Middle Ages, we move forward a little bit and we came to know about a little bit about medical knowledge. But again, here also the main focus was deviated to the evil spirit and punishments. So we had two people who basically contribute to Middle Age understanding of mental illness. One was Saint Augustine. He wrote a book about the role of sin and possession in mental illness. And we had Hildegard of Bingen, who wrote about the nature of environment. What is the environment contribution to mental illness? During this time, they used to treat illnesses first with spiritual and supernatural intervention, as in ancient civilization. They also had natural remedies and herbs, but here they started using medication, using opium to treat mental illness. So that was the main difference between the treatment of ancient civilization and Middle Age era.